Hi everyone. Now we are going to see about virtualization tools. So already we discussed about a lot of virtualization, the concept of virtualization and the types of virtualization already we discussed. So now we are going to see about virtualization tools. So in this virtualization tools, we are going to see these type of topics under that. So the first one is enterprise virtualization platform. The second one is cloud-based virtualization services. The third one is hypervisor-based virtualization. The next one is desktop virtualization software. The next one is server virtualization solution. The next one is high-performance computing virtualization. The last one is case study. So these are all the topics, subtopics we are going to see under the topic of virtualization tools. The first one we are going to see about enterprise virtualization platforms. What is that? Enterprise virtualization platforms. So what is the definition means? It is the virtualization tools means it will comes under the software based only. I already told you software based. So already we discussed about hardware, physical layer, everything we discussed already. Now we are going to see about software solutions. So the enterprises will comes under the integrated software solution that enable the organization. It is going to enable the organization. Organization means we have to create first, then managing is secondary, then deploying virtual environment is very important. So once an organization means first we have to create, the second step is management. Organization means the management is very important. The next one is deploy virtual environments. We are going to do the virtual. So that type of virtual environments we are going to do that. That means manage them. So under that server, desktop, networks, everything will be included in the virtualization platforms. Then they are used to consolidate the hardware. So whatever we are doing in that, we have to consolidate. Consolidate means together we have to view that. For example, final report we have to view that. Then optimize resource usage and simplify IT management across the data center. Optimize resource usage. So how many resources, what are the ways, what are the areas we are using that, and everything is for a simplified IT management. This purpose we are using that. Okay. The next one is futures of enterprise virtualization platforms. So now we discussed about the definition and how it will be and how it will work in our IT related. Then second one is future. What are the futures we can see here? The first one is resource pooling. The second one is scalability. The next one is high availability. Next one is centralized management. The next one is security and isolation. The last one is automation. I am not telling this is the only future we are going to see in that enterprises platform, but some futures I just noticed here. So first one is resource pooling. I already told you resource usage. In the definition part I mentioned the word resource usage. So resource pooling, that means combination of CPU, memory, storage and resources from multi-physical machines. So different types of physical machines we are going to get this one. The second one is scalability. Scalability means ups and downs. Okay, scale is like a measure. So sometimes it will be in down, sometimes it will be in up. So we have to measure it properly, how it will be. So this time how much we have to do that, this much how we have to do that. So everything will be. The next one is high availability. Availability means that resources always it has to be available, but high availability means more than that. For that we have to scalable, we have to measure that. So for example 0.5 we need means at least we have to need 0.6 or 0.7. That is the high availability. The third one is centralized management. Already I told you organization, that means that centralized management. Centralized management means everything will come in a single point. Okay, that single point should know what are the things, branches, whatever, everything had to be under the control of centralized management. The next one is security and isolation. The security is very important. Whatever we are doing in that internet or whatever the outside of that system, if we are taking it as a system, the security, that word is very important, and as well as the isolation also. Okay. For that we are using the product virtual machines from each other through sandboxing. So already I told you for the virtualization we are using the virtual machine. Okay, with the help of the virtual machine we are going to do the virtual process. For the virtual machine I told you some types of softwares also, VMware and some other Microsoft Word, they did something, that Amazon, so many things already we discussed. So in that virtual machine, for that we need some isolation, because that purpose I have to do it in a separate way. Okay, some other purpose I have to do it in a some other way. So everything have to linked, and that link should be connected with the centralized management. Okay. The next one is the very important word, automation. That means I told you the examples also why that technology world is going very highly and it is achieving more means because of this automation word. That automation is very important because the customers also they knows that they need something. Okay, without that we have to inform them. Okay, before for example nowadays if you want to pay the EMI also or recharge also, for a simple example recharge. EMI or send we are recharging everything. Before 1 day or 2 days, they are giving the automatic message to us. Am I right or wrong? Before that, automatic message to us, and as well as in the ATM also, balance and how many times we debited it. So everything is that based upon it is going in the automation. So based upon that, we have to do the automation. Why we are using the automation means the main thing is reduce the manual task. Reduce the manual task. So these are all the key features we discussed under the enterprise virtual platform. The next thing is we are going to see about components of enterprise virtualization platforms. Okay, what are the components we have to use? Okay, so first one is hypervisor. The second one is management console. The third one is virtual machine manager. The first one is hypervisor. So hypervisor already we discussed in the first unit. You know that under the virtual machine we use that hypervisor word. The next one is management console. The third one is virtual machine manager. Virtual machine. The next one is virtual machine manager. So if we consider the management console, that manager part is very important. Normally, what is the role of the manager? You know already clearly because they can create. Okay, they can manage it whether they are working properly. Okay, they have to manage, they have to consolidate all the works. These are the normal process for the manager. Same like that, we are using virtual machine manager. That means VM. Already VM, you know. I added one more M. That means virtual machine manager. Okay. The next one is virtual storage virtualization layer. Next one is network virtualization layer. So these are all the components we are going to use under the enterprise. Because enterprise means it is like an organization. I already told you it is an organization. So organization means the three words I told you: create, manage, and deploy. Okay. So under the create, manage, and deploy, these components very important for that. Okay. Again, I have to say that components. First one is hypervisor. Creates and run virtual machines. It can create and run virtual machines. The word is create. I already told you in the definition also. Create is comes under that. The next one is management console. That will be management means management. Okay. Even our college management also or some other companies management also. Management means they have to. What is that? They have to monitor. They have to monitor whether we are working properly or not. Same like that. We have to. The monitoring word means the tools. We are using so many tools. The tools is working properly or not. That we have to be concerned by the management console. The next one is virtual machine manager. The manager means control. Control power is there. That means start, stop, snapshot, and resource allocation. That is the work of the resource manager. The next one is storage virtualization. Storage means that is the memory part. Okay, memory part means that comes under the SAN and the NAS system. That will be discussed in the further sessions. The next one is network virtualization layer. Network means we know that word switches, router, these things will come under that. Creates virtual switches. Already we discussed in the previous unit what are the types of, what are the components of network virtualization. Virtual switches, virtual routers. These things we discussed. So same like that, create virtual switches and virtual networks to connect the virtual machine securely. That word very important. Securely we are going to connect with it. Okay. The next one is advantages of enterprise virtualization. Advantages. Already we know normal virtualization means we know that advantages clearly. What are the advantages? Time consuming, then single management. Okay, we can reduce the hardware cost. These are all the normal, but particularly in the enterprise virtualization, we are going to see what are the advantages. The first one is reduce the hardware cost. Hardware means your CPU, some other equipments we can reduce there. Simplified data center management. Okay, data center we can simplify. Simplified data center management, we can easily manage it without any problems. Better disaster recovery option, that backups. The next one is efficient use of computing resources. We can use other resources easily because everything is combined in a single link. So we can easily use the resources. Quick provisioning of virtual machines, that actions or whatever the queries, we can easily, the response will be quickly, they will give the responses. Then energy efficient IT environments. So everything is okay, then automatically the IT environments will be very energetic. That means it will be work in a proper way. So today we discussed about enterprises virtualization platform in a clear way. Thank you so much.